we are looking at how we can find the one variable statistics or the summary statistics using our CAS calculator. We've got a question here. It says, a teacher recorded the scores out of 100 for a class of 20 students on a recent general mathematics test. The scores are listed there. Find the following summary statistics for the test. So we're looking for the median, the mean, the IQR, the range, and the standard deviation. Now, to do this on our calculator, we're going to start with a list and spreadsheet. We're going to label our column or our data set with a name, so we'll call it test. Then I'm going to input one by one the values into my CAS down the first column. Once you've inputted them, you want to make sure that you've got the right number of data values, so I should have 20. And if this was a test or an exam, or most of the time, you want to double check to make sure that you've got those values correct, because one mistake can make a big difference to your answers. Now that we've got the data inputted into our list and spreadsheet, we're now going to go Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, One Variable Statistics. We're only going to be looking for the statistics of our first column. So we're going to have one list. And the column that we are looking at is X list A. So we want A there. We could also write the name of our variable, which is test. But because we're looking at column A, we're going to leave it at A. And the rest of this stays the same. So we just click OK. What we now get is our summary statistics. As we scroll down this list on our CAS, we'll see various symbols and letters that tell us what each of these things mean. So this X with a line on top is known as X bar, and another way of saying that is the mean. So the mean of this data set is 69.55, so I can put that into my answer. Now, this particular question doesn't tell me to round to a particular number of decimal places, so I'm going to leave it at 2 decimal places, and we'll see what our other values come up as. As I scroll through my list, I continue down and I see SX. SX is another way of saying the standard deviation of X, which is what we are looking for. So I can see here that my standard deviation is 7.3, and we'll say to 2 decimal places, so 7.30. I'm then going to continue scrolling down my list. This N tells me that I have 20 data values, which means that I've got 20 people that completed the test. I've then got our 5-number summary. My minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. These values are really important for a lot of parts of our general maths, but in this particular example, we're going to start with the median. The median there is listed as 69.5. We'll make it 2 decimal places, so we'll call it 69.50. We've then got our IQR. Now, our IQR equals our Q3 minus our Q1. So in this situation, we've got 74.5 is our Q3, and we've got 64.5 is our Q1. So I'm going to work out this subtraction sum and find that 74.5 minus 64.5 equals 10. So my IQR is 10. Finally, we've got our range. Our range is the difference between our maximum value and our minimum value. So in this data set, our maximum value is 84 on the test, and our minimum value is 56 on the test. So again, I do a subtraction, 84 minus 56. I could do this in my calculator, or I could do it in my head, gives me 28. There are a number of other values in this list that we don't really need to know, but you need to be able to find the mean, which is the X bar, the standard deviation, which is the SX, the 5-number summary, which includes our minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. And then to find the IQR and the range, we do a subtraction sum based on the information that we are given. Now let's say we have a question that gives us 2 data sets and asks us to find the univariate summary statistics for both. Maybe we have to compare the classes to each other. So here the question gives us class 1 results on the test and then class 2 results on the test. If we put both of these data sets into our CAS calculator as 2 separate labeled columns, I've got test 1 and test 2, I can now find both of these summary statistics using just one function. So I again go to Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, and I'm going to choose one variable statistics again, even though there are 2 data sets. Now, where it says number of lists, I now want 2 lists rather than just 1. I can then put in my X list, either the name of the variables or the columns that they are in. So I want data for test 1 and test 2. And I click OK. What I now find is that I've got 2 columns that tell me the mean, standard deviation, and 5-number summary for the 2 different classes in this scenario. I can find my median, mean, IQR, range, and standard deviation for both. And then I can use this information to compare which class had a higher median or which class had a wider range, etc.